Why is it that a woman gets more easily attracted to spirituality and astrology than a man? Let's talk about it, and I will share my opinion about it, as well as you can also comment in the comments down below. Although I think many might chop it down to women are more susceptible to how something makes them feel rather if something makes sense or not. I think it comes down to people following and seeing, like anything else that you might see or learn about. You first see it maybe in the mainstream, you see it in the magazines and stuff, and then you assess if that's something that you want to proceed learning or not. And I think many people, they get their first and main idea about astrology from the magazines and from the tabloids. You know, you're a Virgo and this year you're going to become a millionaire, find your true love, right? So that is the faulty astrology that many assess as to being astrology in general, and obviously that will not make sense to anybody. It might feel good, but it's not a reasonable way to look at reality, because nobody can predict the future. Nobody can really assess by the sign of your sun how will your year be, because everybody's individual, everybody has their own individuality and creativity, and the tabloids and the magazines will only show your sun sign, meaning that you cannot assess the other placements that we all have, because right now the moon is full, for example, when I'm recording this, and if somebody is being born right now, they are being born with a full moon in Libra, meaning that they will have a completely different way of reacting and responding than somebody else. And even if somebody else has moon in Libra, they will be different, because everybody is their own unique spirit. So that will not be shown in the tabloids and mainstream. So many people will not even have access or idea that's something that exists, and they will have an idea about astrology that is faulty, because many people that follow or are interested in astrology, they also stick to only the tabloid idea of astrology, or the mainstream idea of astrology, without digging any deeper. So that's like anything else that you can learn about. Majority of people will stay on the surface. This is the same about astrology. Many people will stay on the surface of astrology, and because it looks very pseudo on the outside, many people will disregard it as pseudo and as something that is unuseful, or even as misleading, because many of the mainstream tabloids and how they portray astrology is misleading in actuality, right? So we can see why some people would say that women get lost into astrology because they like to feel good, because many of those women will be sticking to the mainstream idea of astrology without getting any deeper into the whys, and does this really make sense? Does these tabloids and magazines make sense? So with this out of the way, let's explore why is it that I think more women come into contact with astrology and spirituality rather than men. Don't take me wrong, I think that majority of men that are into astrology, they go deeper, because no real rational man will stick to astrology if it was for the tabloids, because the tabloids is the feel-good fluff that is misleading, while I've seen the best astrologers are men as well, you know. So I think the there is more women in astrology or believing in astrology because many of them are also in the tabloid mainstream version of it without getting deeper. Again, what I said before, but I think men, they go deeper, and that's why there are less men really looking into it and learning about it. And why is it? Why is it that more women are into astrology besides the fact of wanting to feel good? I think there are more women in astrology also, and why they get themselves more into it, as well as get men to learn about it, because I truly believe that women are the main, not the main, well, I would say women are a big part of why many men are now learning about it and getting interested in learning more about it, is because of the women in their lives, their friends, their, their mothers and their partners and whatever, might bring that up. And instead of bringing the tabloids, they will bring a natal chart, for example, right? And if a man gets interested enough, they will learn about it themselves. And if it's something that they are able to make sense of and make their own mind about it, they will be really good analyzers, as well as understand better the methodology and how astrology really works. So why do women get more into astrology, and why is it that women actually introduce more astrology to the men in their life? Well, because women are first spirits in a human body, and it so happened to be that it's a female body, and it's not a coincidence or it's not a mistake. It is something that we as spirits, before having a body, chose to have. We as spirits decided to have a female body, and that is always on a subconscious level, meaning that we have created a state of being that resonates more with a feminine aspect of reality rather than a masculine aspect of reality. So what is the feminine? The feminine is internalizing, it is receiving, it is feeling, it is having some form of emotional state. It is more correlated to the internal, right? While the man or the masculine is more correlated to the outer, to the conscious, to the directive, external, right? So women in general are more naturally internal, reflective, and they will find in astrology more meaning. They will be able to explain certain even events and have some form of correlation of how the external affects the internal, and vice versa, how the internal affects the external. So because astrology explains the why of certain events and the body of water that we live on, called Gaia, or the Earth, interacting with other planets and other stars, and its movement around the sun, will have its own effects. While astronomy shows where the Earth is on the orbit of the sun and where Mars is on the orbit of the sun, and how far is Mars from Earth, there will be a meaning behind it and a certain energetical code and charge behind it. And astrology is basically the seasons and how we can divide our sky, our 360, in 12 parts, how we divide those 12 parts into the 4 seasons, and how each 3 parts of the 4 seasons have a specific effect, and where the sun travels have a specific effect on the current state of ourselves, of the environment that we live in and the various phases of the earth and ourselves as well. So when we are born, we have a certain energetical code that we carry until we let go of this body, right? You might have been born in March and you have the specific alignment during the specific time that you were born. We are living a snippet of the time that we were born. So that in itself has its own meanings and has its own reasons. And that's why I believe women are more drawn to learning about astrology, are more drawn to learning about spirituality, because we, first as spirits, were more during the time before creating the body, we were more internal and we were more receptive. Therefore, we wanted to experience something that would portray that. And so we as spirits living in a woman's body, we want to learn about the meaning and the internal natures and the why of something. And men are really good at being able to recognize patterns and of seeing. And don't get me wrong, everybody, every spirit, every person has their own feminine and masculine traits, but for a reason. A woman is a woman, she has a pussy, while a man is a man and he has a dick. And it's not just the dick and the pussy, but those are like the main representations of it. Obviously, women are more curvy, women are more delicate, women are more, in general, women are more delicate and all of that. But we will also have masculine traits, and it will have all sorts of percentages that will define how we conduct ourselves in the world. So, but by default, a woman is more caring for the meaning and the reasoning behind something and the spirituality behind something. So I think astrology in itself is a really good way to conduct and to see the meaning behind certain things and the external world as well as the internal world. So it's kind of like a esoteric map. While we are alive in this earth, we are seeing things through this lens, and with astrology we can actually make sense out of things without it being just scientific. Astrology has a good mix of scientific thought as well as more emotional intuition and internal. So I hope this was interesting. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I would love to know what you think about this. So yeah, make sure to check me out on my IG. The LinkTree will be in the description. Also, if you want, check out my other YouTube channels. And I will see you all very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.